Halloween night. A cold wind blew. Leaves crunched underfoot. The air was thick with fog. Shadows danced in the pale moonlight. Jack-o'-lanterns grinned evilly from every porch. Spiders, ghosts, and skeletons hung from every doorway. Costumed kids shrieked with delight as they ran from house to house. This was the night for tricks and treats, and no one knew how to celebrate it better than Alex and Emily. Alex and Emily were the terrors of Maple Street. They weren't your average kids. Oh no, they were YouTubers. Their channel, The Pranksters, was all the rage. Every week they uploaded a new video of their hilarious pranks. Their pranks were legendary. The whole neighborhood knew about them, and tonight was going to be their best prank yet. They had a plan. A spooky, hilarious, epic plan. Their first victims? The grumpy old Mr. Henderson. He was known around the neighborhood for his stern demeanor and his strict rules. The kids had always found him to be a bit of a killjoy, so they decided to start their night of mischief with him. They replaced his porch light with a disco ball, transforming his usually dim and serious porch into a sparkling dance floor. The sight of the glittering lights was enough to make anyone laugh. His bewildered face was priceless. He stepped out expecting the usual darkness, only to be met with a dazzling display of lights. His confusion quickly turned to frustration, but the kids were already on to their next target. Next, they targeted Mrs. Peterson, known for her prize-winning roses. She took great pride in her garden, often boasting about her beautiful blooms to anyone who would listen. They swapped her roses with plastic ones painted white. The kids worked quickly and quietly, making sure not to disturb her as they carried out their prank. Her shriek of surprise was music to their ears. She had come out to admire her garden, only to find her beloved roses replaced with cheap imitations. The look of shock on her face was unforgettable. Up and down Maple Street they went, leaving a trail of laughter and harmless chaos in their wake. Each house they visited added to their growing list of pranks, and their laughter echoed through the night. But their biggest target was still waiting. They had saved the best for last, a house that had always intrigued them with its eerie presence. A house shrouded in darkness at the end of the street. It was said to be haunted, and the kids couldn't resist the challenge. They gathered their courage and made their way towards it, ready for one final prank. Section 4. The Creepy House on the Corner. At the very end of Maple Street stood an old, dilapidated house. It was a place that everyone in the neighborhood knew about, but no one dared to approach. The house had been abandoned for as long as anyone could remember. It loomed over the street, casting a long, ominous shadow that seemed to stretch out and touch the very souls of those who passed by. The house had an eerie presence, almost as if it were alive and watching. Its windows were dark, like empty eyes staring out into the night. They seemed to follow you, no matter where you stood. The glass was cracked and dirty, adding to the sense of decay and abandonment. The paint peeled from its walls like scabs, revealing the weathered wood beneath. It was as if the house itself was slowly rotting away, piece by piece. The lawn was overgrown and wild, a tangle of weeds and thorns that seemed to guard the house from intruders. The garden, once beautiful, was now a jungle of neglect. Legend had it that the house was haunted. Stories of ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena were passed down through generations. Some said they could hear whispers in the wind, calling out from the house. Neighbors whispered tales of strange noises and flickering lights. They spoke of shadows moving behind the curtains and the sound of footsteps echoing through the empty halls. No one dared to go near it, especially not on Halloween night. The house seemed to come alive on that night, with lights flickering and strange sounds emanating from within. No one except Alex and Emily, that is. They were determined to uncover the secrets of the creepy house on the corner, no matter what dangers awaited them inside.
"Are you sure about this, Em?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper.
"Don't be scared, Alex," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "It's just an old house. Besides, imagine the views we'll get for the prank."
They crept towards the house, their hearts pounding in their chests. The night was eerily silent, save for the occasional rustle of leaves in the wind. They reached the porch, their breaths visible in the cold night air. It creaked ominously under their weight, each step sounding like a thunderclap in the stillness. The wood felt old and brittle, as if it might give way at any moment. As Alex reached out to ring the doorbell, the door swung open with a groan, revealing a dark, foreboding interior. The air inside was cold and musty, carrying the scent of decay.
"Hello? Emily called out, her voice shaky. The sound echoed through the empty halls, amplifying her fear. She clutched Alex's arm tightly, her knuckles white.
The figure moved into the light, its movement slow and deliberate. The shadows seemed to cling to it, as if reluctant to let it go. It was a woman, her face pale and gaunt, her eyes burning with an unnatural intensity. Her clothes were tattered, and she looked as though she had stepped out of another time. And then, just as suddenly as she had appeared, she vanished. One moment she was there, and the next, she was gone, leaving only a chilling silence in her wake. The door slammed shut, plunging them into darkness once more. The sound reverberated through the house, and they were left standing in the pitch black, their hearts racing, wondering what would happen next.